Okay, let us start now. My dear students, very good evening to all of you. Here is the session on ESG 130, Basics of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, and we are starting the module 6 today. The last class we have seen the PA systems and the characteristics features of RC coupled amplifiers, isn't it? That is frequency response characteristic, how the RC coupled amplifier works, and all those things we have seen in the last class. And thereafter, we have seen how the digital instruments are working, especially the digital multimeter and its operation. We discussed the operation by considering its block schematic diagram and how to measure the resistance, how to measure the voltage, current, all those things we have seen in the last class. And apart from that, we have seen what is the basic electronic instrumentation system. That also we discussed in the last class. So today we are going to discuss about the communication engineering in electronics. Communication engineering means you might have heard what is meant by communication. Communicate means what is communication? Communication is the exchange of information from one person to other person, isn't it? One person to other person. So here the communication means how the communication can be done wirelessly, not wired communication. How the communications can be done wirelessly, or we will be discussing about some aspects of radio communication, and thereafter we will be discussing about the present day higher end technology, that is the mobile technology or mobile communication systems, in which we will be concentrating on GSM and how a GSM works, what is meant by GSM, and how it works, and how a mobile phone communicates information to the foreign, and how what is the principle involved in that one, what is the concept involved in that one, what is meant by mobile communication, why mobile communication is sometimes called cell communication, or we will say cell phones. Mobile, instead of saying mobile phone, we say cell phones. Why is it called cell phones, like that? So first we will consider about the evolution of this communication system in electronics. So evolution means right from the involvement of the electronics from the tube. Tube electronics means vacuum tube onwards, then transistor, then IC technology, then very large scale integration, like that. So the technology, when the technologies were evolved one by one in different eras of time, right from 1910 to the present day, we can consider the evolution of the communication system to be from first generation. Sometimes some people say zero generations to the fifth generation now we are having. So such a communication evolution has been taken place from the very ancient years to the present day. Okay, 1 minute, please. One phone call has come. Okay, just 1 minute. Okay. So the evolution of communications means initially, of course, we had that communication, that is the semaphores communication, just what we have done in the old and ancient days in 80s and in 70s, where people have a drum and that drum with some kind of megaphone type device which were used for communicating. You might have seen megaphone, a small conical shaped phone that through which one can say something so that it will be that particular what we say will be transmitted to some places. Some places means of course around the place. That's not for this so long distance communication is not possible. And they will be having some trumpets and all those things to communicate things. There are, of course, years passed by, and in 19s, once this tube technology and all those things were developed, of course, there were prominent communication technologies developed right from the early stages of communication. That is, first, initially we had the manual telephony. In manual telephony, of course, we have the manual telephone jacks through which lines are connected so that there is a wired line. Through line, the communication is possible to the distant end. Through that, we will be having communication jacks in manual telephony through which we have the transmitter and receiver. So that once you want to have a communication with a distant place, what you do is you will lift your telephone so that there will be a light indication on the manual telephone exchange, and that light indication there will be a sleeve and jack, and through that jack, that particular line through which that particular connection is made will be given so that communication is, and that line is extended to the distant, and he will be saying, I want to connect to so and so, say line number 60, line number 70, like that. So that lines are usually assigned like numbers, 001, 012, 3, like that. So that particular connections will be given manually with the telephone operator. So there will be a telephone operator, of course, right in 1960s up to 1960s, when communication technology was not that much developed. In India, we were using this kind of technology in 80s, 60s, 70s, and even the early stages of 80s also, we had this particular manual telephone exchange. Then in 1980s onwards, of course, the communication technology has got a very tremendous development in the communication system, and there were electromagnetic relays and equipments that will give that particular what we called as the, in those days there were stronger type exchanges. There are stronger relays. That relays will operate, and then that stronger equipment will operate. Stronger, some people say stronger equipment. So that is the automatic telephone system, and in which the lines could be very easily found out by having grading of the lines and all those things, so that this equipment will be searching for the outlet through which you want to connect to the distant party. So that like such communications was there, and stronger system of exchanges were developed in those days. That is in 70 and 80s. Then 80 onwards, of course, there were so many other developments taking place all over the world, and here also in India also we had so many equipments developed through Indian telephone industries, and we had such, and of course in those days this telephone industries was the only governmental organization who manufactured the telephone relays. There are specific telephone relays with certain names. So specific telephone relays and that and such equipments, and such type of technology was initially developed. Of course, that was patented in foreign countries like Sweden or such type of developed countries in those days. But that will be patented, and that replicated here in through telephone industries, the telephone industries, and we will be having our own frames of equipment. And such type of one of the such types of system we had was this crossbar exchanges. So where there are actually this crossbar exchange is a very new exchange in those days in middle of 1980s, and even in 1990s that exchange was there. But after 1990, of course, there was tremendous changes and development in the communication technology, because the electronics was actually developed with the IC technology in a very fast way, with VLSA, very large scale integration and ultra large scale integration. All those things made the communication in a very fast way. So that actually made us to have communicate. Of course, what I'm telling about the communication status in India, all over the world, the same kind of things were taken place, and of course, countries like US, UK, and Germany, and Sweden, those places, of course, they were having their own setups and they have having their own developments in communication technology. In India, we had a very tremendous change in communication technology during the middle of 90s when Windows were developed by Microsoft, and our internet were communication technologies were developed, and that actually made to have the communications possible as considered to be the third generation communication. Second generation communication is actually the Sprogger type exchanges here and this crossbar exchanges. Then there are some other types of versions of crossbar exchanges like Ericsson type and all those things. And of course, there were integrations of that communication, that is electromagnetic equipment, and the communication that is the IC technology that will be integrated together to operate the systems. Because in electromagnetic systems, electromagnetic relays will take some time for its operation. Because every relay has to be operated by energizing its coil, so it will take some milliseconds of time in order to get connections from one end to the other end. So that a long distance communications were possible when the second generation communication technologies were developing during the middle of 1990s and of course 1995 till 1995. And 1995 onwards, of course, there were very fast, tremendous changes taking place in computer engineering and computer technology. That is why we had the internet. We have the internet facilities and all those things. Windows 95 developed by Microsoft. That all those things happened. Of course, it was a very tremendous change occurring in the communication field, and that was the era of third generation communication. Then the fourth generation communication, when it started, of course, this third generation communication, which prolonged up to some 2005, 2006, because by the time the internet technology and communication technology were very much developed, and satellite communication was also possible within this time. So that satellite communication made possible for transferring information from one end to other end of the globe without much difficulties, without much loss of information. So that were also possible. That is actually the fourth generation communication, and of course, that is actually the pavement of the mobile technology came into being. Actually, the mobile technology, that situation, that mobile technology and that communications were very much developed during these times. That is after 2007, 8, and 2010. Of course, we have the mobile communication over India, and we have the different kinds of mobile sets on mobile technology. Of course, that technology were also developed. Not only initially it was 3G, then that is the end of the 3G came to 4G. Then actually this 3G 4G development were actually controlled by the TRAI. You know what is meant by TRAI? That is Telecommunication Regulatory Authority of India, and who actually had control over all these facilities to be provided. But unfortunately, they gave the complete that freedom for the operation of 4G to the private parties like Reliance, Jio, and all those things. So they actually provided 4G systems to us, and we enjoyed that 4G also right from 2013 onwards, isn't it? 2013-14 onwards, we got this. Of course, by 2015, we had our 4G facilities and all those. That is the fourth generation era of communication technology. Now, the present communication stage is that is actually the 4G, which is going on, and now we are entering into the 5G. Of course, it's already entered to some all over the world. Of course, 5G actually come into being, and 5G is actually a very fast, super fast. Super fast means that technology is called not Wi-Fi. Actually, 4G gave us the Wi-Fi facilities very extensively, so that Wi-Fi actually made us to have the communication wirelessly without much difficulties. So we have the satellites and all those communication devices which were launched from the through the rocket, and so that is actually positioned in different parts of the globe. and so that they are geostationary with regard to the position of the Earth. They are stationary. There seems to be stationary. They are also revolving just like the globe, just like the Earth. So that is usually called such a positioning of the satellite is called the geosatellite or geopositioning of the satellite. Or sometimes we say that GPS also, GPS, that is global positioning system, because it considered to be the speed of the Earth rotation, almost resemblance to the rotation of the satellite. So that always satellite will see the Earth to be stationary, or Earth will also see the satellite to be stationary. So that is why actually it's a geostationary system. Actually, geostationary system will have different kinds of data transmission system possible with large packets of information. Usually, the information which is sent from the Earth to satellite and from the satellite to Earth is usually called packets of information. Packets of information. Even in the internet also, we have packets of information sent. That word is actually very important. Okay. So now we are actually entering into the fifth generation of the communication technology. Fifth generation is essentially conceptualized as a technology which is Li-Fi. What is Li-Fi? Li-Fi means that is light fidelity. Light fidelity means it gives the fidelity, that information which will not be lost under any circumstances. Whatever information you send, that will be reached to the destination without much loss of information or without any loss of information. And light fidelity means it is actually that information is actually passing, and that information is actually traveling very fast, very fast in the very fast. It is resembles to the fastness of light. How the light is actually that is considered to be the fast transmission of that information, isn't it? Light rays actually goes very fast through medium. So such a very fast way of communicating information is actually the method involved in the Li-Fi, and that Li-Fi is actually the methods, and that associate methods of communications are usually coming under the fifth generation communication. Now we are actually entering into the fifth generation. Other parts of the world, of course, in America and other developed countries also, they have started transmitting with the satellites and all those things, with the fifth generation communication equipment and all those things. And India, of course, everything is, and we are also in the starting of this fifth generation. Of course, government actually gives many limitations for giving such facilities to the governmental organizations like BSNL also. That is why still BSNL is working with the 3G. They didn't get 4G even now, even if Jio is getting 4G presently, and that is due to the policy decisions of the government. Okay, our central government has made such decisions to give more importance for the private conservation, or privatization has been given more. That is a reality now, and that has been given more importance, so that BSNL has got such a degradation in that case. Of course, they are actually striving to work hard not to get the 4G, and of course finally to 5G also. So that is as far as the evolution of the communication system is concerned. Of course, I will give you a note apart from this lecture, and that will be posted in your note. Of course, that is only a discussion. You can just read it, and you can have the information of that one, that you read it. That is enough with regard to that particular topic on evolution of communication systems. So right from manual telephoning to the present day 5G communication system, and from 3G onwards, of course, 2G, 3G, that are all concerned with the mobile communications and communication technology, and that is 3G means that is actually through the satellites and all. 2G onwards satellites only, but then 3G, of course, it is very widely used. Then 4G also very extensively used with a very higher-end technology. Then 5G means that is Li-Fi devices, so that the technology has been enhanced to such an extent that the information will be transferred in a very fast way without loss of information, and also without much loss of information also in a very fast way. That is the communication technology presently now we are having. Okay. Now, apart that is as far as the evolution of the communication system or communication technology is concerned. Now, our study is limited only to some extent of some parts of radio communication. Of course, that is enough for your understanding. For electronics and communication engineers, they will be learning much more than this one. But for you, civil engineers and mechanical engineers, they should know the basic aspects of radio communication system. That is why we learned this particular topic in a little bit. Okay. So what is meant the radio communication system? Or what is the basic communication system? We will start with the basic communication system. Any basic communication system consists of what? Transmitter. Then there must be a channel or a transmitting media. Then there must be a receiver. And that is shown here as a block schematic diagram. So there must be a source to produce the information. Sometimes the source may be your conversation, and that will be usually done through a microphone sometimes. In your telephone also there is a microphone. There is a microphone. There is a receiver also. So very similar to that one. That is what is called, the microphone is called the source. So the source, there will be a transmission source and there will be a transmitter. The transmitter will be transmitting this information in a suitable electrical signal form. And that is then sent through a media, a transmission channel. That is the media. Then through the media it travels to a distant end, and where these informations are received by a receiving device. Or we say that it is a receiver. At the receiver side, you will be having an earphone sometimes. In the case of a telephone instrument, you will be having an earphone. Okay. So that is the point where this particular information has to be reached or destined to reach. That is what's called destination. So there must be, every communication system should include a source, a transmitter, then a transmission channel, then a receiver. Then our receiver is at the destination point. And at the transmission channel, of course, there will be noise sometimes, isn't it? So what is noise? Noise are actually unwanted signals arised or appeared on the transmission channel, because this transmission channel may be wired cable sometimes, coaxial cable sometimes, or it may be sometimes optical cable nowadays, or it may be sometimes transmission lines. Of course, olden days we had telephone transmission lines, like transmission lines and cables, right? So, or sometimes this transmission channel may be a satellite channel. Of course, in satellite channel cases, of course, the noise will be very less usually. And the optical communication also, the noise will be very less because it is based on the transmission of light, laser, right? And usually this noise level will be more in cable transmission or transmission lines, where the noise level will be more. That is why we have made a noise. If there are noise levels there, and it is expected that there should not be any noise level. There should not be any noise. Okay, so but in practical cases, we have always noise level appeared in the transmission channel. Even in the transmitter also, there may have sometimes some noise levels present due to the operation of the devices connected to it. But still, that can be avoided to a certain extent. But in the transmission channel, of course, the channel will be very safe for transmitting the information without having much loss. But we can expect some noise level. That's why transmitter, transmission channel, receiver. On the transmission channel, we have a noise. Disturbance may appear. So this is the basic general block diagram of a communication system. Okay. So transmitter transmits the information from a given source. Channel transmitted information travels through the channel. Then receiver receives the information from the channel upon reaching the destination point. Okay. Now, what are the frequency bands used for various communication systems? So these are the frequency bands nowadays used. That is in the fifth generation communication, till the fifth generation communication system. Very mainly up to the fourth generation, we have these kinds of bandwidths and all. But in the fifth generation communication also, some of the bands are used there. We will come across one by one. So this frequency bands you should by heart to a certain extent, not all this one, but you should know what for it is used. For example, very low frequency, usually we say VLF, very low frequency. What is very low frequency? Very low frequency means that is 10 hertz to 30 kilohertz. 10 to 30 kilohertz. Very low frequency. Okay, that is the audible range. Very low frequency means that is the audible frequency range. Usually that is for telephonic or telegraphic communication. Usually such a range of informations are passed through telegraphic communication is used. We use the telephonic instrument that can handle only a frequency range of 10 to 30 kilohertz. That is the audible range. Then we have low frequency range, LF. What is low frequency range? That is 30 kilohertz to 300 kilohertz are usually coming under low frequency range. And that is used for marine navigation. For some trawling, you might have heard of the fishermen who goes for deep sea trawling and all those things. That is for fishing. That is for catching the fish. They will be going to the deep sea areas, isn't it? In that case, of course, they have to communicate each other, and of course, in certain, not only in fishermen case, but some ship and such cargo ships, they will used to have the communication in a very low frequency ranges, that is 30 kilohertz to 300 kilohertz. They use the low frequency ranges for the communication equipment, or this communication range is actually earmarked. So this communication range is earmarked only for marine navigation. So that is the important marine navigation. Or marine navigation will use even in ship or fishermen's that boats, or even that cargo ships, like ships, they will have the communication possible in a low frequency range, that is 30 kilohertz to 300 kilohertz. Direct communication equipment will have a capacity to handle a frequency ranges of this one, that is marine navigation. Then medium frequency. Medium frequency comes from what? 300 kilohertz to 3 megahertz or 3000 kilohertz. And 300 kilohertz to 3000 kilohertz are usually used for the broadcasting of radio stations. You might have seen what is the frequency ranges of the signals produced from Kozhikode station, what they are saying at the time of opening the date that morning broadcast. So Akashvani Kozhikode 441.5 മീറ്ററിൽ അഥവാ 680 കിലോ ഹെർട്സിൽ പ്രഭാത പരിപാടികൾ ആരംഭിക്കുന്നു. So it's a medium frequency range. 680 kilo 441.5 meter, that is the wavelength of the carrier, that is and then that is modulated signal. And then the അതായത് 580 kilohertz, 500 kilohertz, 580 kilohertz, that is well within the range of medium frequency. Or we say that that is the transmission of medium wave broadcasting. Medium wave broadcasting, that is 300 kilohertz to 3000 kilohertz or 3 megahertz. That is an earmark for what product? That is the radio broadcasting. Okay, this kind of information you should always by heart, because broadcasting frequency is 300 to 3000 kilohertz. 300 kilohertz to 3000 kilohertz. Just remember the transmitting frequency of Kozhikode railway station, that is 441.5 meter അഥവാ 680 kilohertz, 680 kilohertz. That is coming in the medium frequency range. Okay. Then high frequency range. High frequency range is coming from 3 megahertz to 30 megahertz. And this is for long distance communication. 3 to 30 megahertz is actually for long distance communication. For long distance communication, of course, this range of long distance communication, for example, some repeater transmitting frequencies and all. Sometimes there may be some repeaters used to repeat the information from one point to other point, which is at a far distance. So in that case, the high frequency range of 3 megahertz to 30 megahertz ranges or long distance communication ranges are used. Then very high frequency range. Very high frequency range means that is 30 to, I told you 30 to 300 megahertz. 30 to 300 megahertz. 30 to 3, that is just after this one, very high frequency, then very high frequency, 30 to 300 megahertz, and that is used for TV and radar communication. For radar communication for in airplanes, and of course radar communication in some sea areas, or some kind of course such a that long distance communication, we have to use this ranges of frequency, that is very high frequency range VHF, that is 30 megahertz to 300 megahertz, and this is the transmission frequency of TV communication also. Number TV program ഒക്കെ ഈ particular frequency rangeലാണ് സാധാരണ ട്രാൻസ്മിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. Then next comes the ultra high frequency range UHF, that is from 300 megahertz to 3000 megahertz, that is 3 gigahertz. 3 gigahertz means it comes almost near the ranges of satellite frequency. And usually the high frequency ranges are coming from are used for satellite communication because it is far away, so many kilometers, some 15,000 to some 25,000 kilometers away from here. Such a very long distance communication is made that we have to use a very ultra high frequency ranges, and ultra high frequency ranges means that is from 300 megahertz to 3000 megahertz or 3 gigahertz. That is for short distance communication. And short distance communication means this particular ranges of frequencies doesn't mean that you have to communicate at a short distance here from 1 kilometer to 1 kilometer in between. Of course, there are certain transmitters and receivers which can receive this kind of signals for immediate attention or immediate. Sometimes you might have seen transmitters of police department. Police department ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന transmitters ഉണ്ടാവും. So they are actually using for communication between some places nearby. So they have been earmarked with the frequency ranges of this kind, 300 to 3000 mega, because that is meant for, because no other frequencies can be, or no other ranges of frequency can be caught by the device used by them for communicating with you. That is ultra high frequency. Now super high frequency, that is as such of is actually the satellite communication frequency, that is 3 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. Most of the satellite communications are done between these ranges, that is 3 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. Then extra high frequency, that is 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz, and this is especially earmarked for governmental purposes. Of course, there are some hotlines of government transmission of information. In such cases, we use a transmitter and receiver for taking care of this frequency ranges in order to send the communication. Okay, so these are the ranges of frequencies, and these are the purposes through which this particular range of frequencies are used in communication system. Okay, ഇതെല്ലാം ബൈഹാർട്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ലെങ്കിൽ കുറെ റേഞ്ചസ് എങ്കിലും നിങ്ങൾ ബൈഹാർട്ടാക്കുക, എസ്പെഷ്യലി ദി സാറ്റലൈറ്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ TV and റഡാർ, ബ്രോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിംഗ്, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മറൈൻ നാവിഗേഷൻ, ടെലിഗ്രാഫിക് കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ഓഡിബിൾ റേഞ്ച് എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാൻ പറ്റും, 20 Hz to 20 kHz. അതിപ്പോൾ 10 ന് 20 ആയി പോലും ആരും ഒന്നും പറയുന്നില്ല, മനസ്സിലായില്ല, ബിക്കോസ് ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ദി ഓഡിബിൾ റേഞ്ച്, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വെരി ലോ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി റേഞ്ച്. അത് ഈ ആദ്യത്തെ ഈ മൂന്നെണ്ണം 10 to 30, ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് വെരി ലോ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി, മീഡിയം ഫ്രീക്വൻസി, then high frequency also. But you have to be well understood with this frequency, that is TV and radar communication. It is very commonly used nowadays. Then satellite communication. ഇത് വിട്ടുപോയാലും കുഴപ്പമില്ല, satellite communication പഠിക്കണം ഇതാന്നുള്ളത്, because that is very important. Okay, then this extra high frequency, that is especially meant for governmental purposes, communication for some hotlines of the governmental country, that is governmental matters and all this. Okay. So that is for this particular frequency bands used for different purposes here. I will explain now. Now for radio communication exclusively for, there are two types of radio communication nowadays prevailed in our country. There are actually AM broadcasting and FM broadcasting. You might have heard of AM broadcasting. What is meant by AM broadcasting? Do you know? So AM broadcasting means amplitude modulated broadcasting or amplitude modulation broadcast. That is AM broadcast. And what is the type of broadcasting done in Kozhikode? Do you know? Anybody? What is the broadcasting done in Kannur? Anybody? So broadcasting done in Kozhikode radio station is AM broadcasting, because there the wave, that is medium wave, that is 680 kilohertz only. So that is medium wave. So that is shown here, 535 to 1600 or 1.6 megahertz. 0.535 to 1.6 megahertz only the medium wave is operated. So Kozhikode radio station medium wave operation, medium wave operated radio station, and it is a essentially an amplitude modulated broadcasting station. Amplitude modulation broadcasting station. Then there are certain radio stations which broadcast short wave. Short wave means where the frequency of the carrier will be, or frequency of the signals will be more. That is 3 to 30 megahertz. That is for short wave. That is, you might, we have seen already here. Short wave, long, and other 330 megahertz long distance communication. So very similar to that one, we have the short wave communication. So that is why the short wave communication from Sri Lanka is very easy audible to hear. ശ്രീലങ്കയിൽ 4 മണിക്ക് പ്രക്ഷേപണം ചെയ്യുന്നില്ലേ? ഇതേ ശ്രീലങ്ക പ്രക്ഷേപണ നിലയം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് പറയുന്നില്ലേ? And that Sri Lanka പ്രക്ഷേപണ നിലയം is working with a short wave communication, that is 3 to 30 megahertz. That is why we are having that particular our radio transmitter receiver, which can capture that short wave communication system, so that it will be very easily audible to us, though it is far away from us. Sri Lanka or Pakistan, we can capture the information from that capture the communication, broadcasting communication from that particular radiation due to short wave communication. Okay, then we have the FM broadcast. The FM broadcast is the frequency modulated broadcasting station. And can you tell me an example of a frequency modulated broadcasting station here? So we have in Kannur, we have an FM station. We have in Kannur, there is an FM station which is broadcasting at what frequency? Usually the frequency ranges for broadcasting station, FM broadcasting station is 88 to 108. നമ്മുടെ റേഡിയോ മാംഗോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി മോഡുലേഷൻ നടക്കുന്ന കണ്ണൂരിലെ റേഡിയോ സ്റ്റേഷന്റെ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി റേഞ്ച് എത്രയാണെന്നറിയോ? എനിബഡി? 103.5 megahertz ആണ് കേട്ടാ. So FM broadcast is well within the frequency range of 88 to 108 megahertz. And this range is also you should understand what is AM broadcasting. And AM broadcasting includes medium wave, which is having a frequency range of 535. In 535 500 എന്നതി പോയാലും പ്രശ്നമില്ല, എങ്കിലും നിങ്ങളത് അറിയണം. That is 535 to 1605. That is 1.605 megahertz. This is in kilohertz. 535 kilohertz to 1605 kilohertz. So short wave is 3 to 30 megahertz. FM broadcast is within 88 to 108. That you can very well clearly see on your mobile when you just switch on the FM radio of Kannur in Radio Mango or whatever. You can just see the frequency range through your mobile, because it's an app which actually gives you that particular radio station is captured, and it will give you directly the frequency at which it is operated. Okay. Then the television communication. This frequency range is also used. I told you television communication uses what? Television communication uses very high frequency VHF range. That is 30. What is 30? 30 megahertz to 300 megahertz. 30 megahertz to 0.3 gigahertz or 300 megahertz. That is given here. So in television communication, we have VHF lower band. That is band 1. Usually VHF, the television communication, we have 3 bands of operation. For different purposes, we have 3 bands of operation for television communication. When the first band is VHF lower band, that is band 1, that is operated within 47 megahertz to 68 megahertz. VHF upper lower band is there, upper band is there. This VHF upper band is usually having band 2, that is within 174 megahertz to 230 megahertz. And VHF lower band 3, that is a separate transmission frequency, that is 470 megahertz to 598 megahertz. What am I point? So this is the frequency ranges through which the television communication is usually taking place. Okay. Now, this is ultra high frequency for satellite. For satellite, of course, you should know the basic satellite frequency, that is from 300 megahertz to 3 gigahertz or 3000 hertz or 3 gigahertz, you can say. Here it is given as 1 gigahertz, but there are different bands through which the satellite communication is situated. The ultra high frequency has been divided into different bands. There are L band, there are L band, S band, C band, X band, KU band, K band, and KA band. All these frequency ranges are well within this band provided to the satellite. Okay, so this is actually 1 to 2 gigahertz for L band. S band is actually 2 to 4 gigahertz. All these bands you cannot by heart. You just by heart S band. That is very important. S band and C band and KU band. These three bands are very important. S band is 2 to 4 gigahertz. C band is 4 to 8 gigahertz. KU band, that is very commonly used for different kinds of satellites, used for, of course, weather forecasting and all those things, you know. That is why this classification has been done for different frequency ranges. Some specific satellites are essentially used or that are all exclusively used for weather forecasting. Some are very exclusively used for telephone communication system or our ordinary communication systems. And some are very exclusively used for some other scientific purposes. So that is why these bands are divided in different frequency ranges. Okay, so S band is 2 to 4, C band 4 to 8 gigahertz, and whenever it is band for satellite, it is in the range of gigahertz. That you should always understand. It is not megahertz or kilohertz. It is in gigahertz. Then KU band 12 to 18 gigahertz. Okay. Then if you are able to by heart all these things, okay, that is well and good. If one digit is slightly different from other, you don't bother about that. But these are all the ranges through which this particular band of operation is done. Okay, or that is the bandwidth of the signal sent. That is the idea. Now we will see that what is meant by modulation, because in order to send the signal from one point to other through wirelessly through air, what you need, you have to propagate the signal to the air, isn't it? Or the signals will be usually sent through the air by means of what? By means of electromagnetic waves, isn't it? It is in the form of electromagnetic waves having some energy, right? Now let us consider the case of the audio signals. Audio signals are actually coming under 30 hertz or 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz or 30 hertz to 30 kilohertz, isn't it? So such a low frequency wave it is having. So every wave which is associated with an energy, which depends upon the frequency through which it is passed or through which it is transmitted or propagated. So if the signal is having very high energy means it is having very high frequency. If the signal is having low energy means or signal is very small energy, having small energy means what does it mean? It is having low frequency signal. So always low frequency signal will have low energy levels, or the energy associated with such signals will be always very low, or your audio signals will be having very low energy. That is why it is always amplified and amplification is done and it is transmitted with certain kind of techniques used. And such kinds of techniques used are usually called modulations. And what for we use modulation, we will come across that one, right? So I told you this audio frequency ranges are very small. That is why the energy associated with audio signals are very, very small energy levels. So that is why this signals, when you propagate through air, it cannot go in a very fast way in a long distance. Or due to the different I told you different kinds of noise level present in the atmosphere or in the medium, there will be always weakening of the signal, or signal will be getting weakened and it cannot reach to the distant end. So that is why in the case of sending audio signals from one end to another end wirelessly, we need to have certain methods by which only we can send this particular signal from one point to a distant point. The method by which we can have the signal sent from one place to a distant place is done by modulating this signal with another high frequency signal. I told you the signal will have high energy if the frequency is high. So in order to carry the audio signals to reach at a longer distance, we need to have another signal or another wave or another signal which will have a high frequency. associated with it, and that carries this audio signal along with it, so that this audio signal and the carrier wave together will travel to reach at the distant end. To do so, what we do, we have to mix, or we have to combine this signal. What signal? The audio signal that is to be transmitted to the distant end. And what we do, we mix or we combine this audio signal with a carrier wave, a carrier signal, a carrier wave, so that this carrier wave can carry this signal to a distant end where it is desired to be transmitted. And processor, this kind of processor is essentially called the modulation process, or the signal which undergoes this kind of mixing of the signal with the carrier wave is called the modulating signal or message signal. Usually the modulating signal or message signal is the audio signal. And if it is a continuous signal, that is an alternative varying continuous signal, we will say that it's a baseband signal, baseband continuous wave signal, baseband signal or continuous wave signal. Or modulating signal or message signal or baseband signal is the one which is having low frequency. That is our audible signal, audio signal. Then, what is meant by carrier signal? Carrier signal is another signal which has got the same frequency of this audio signal, but having very high frequency. No, actually, it is having very high frequency, and this signal is having high energy compared to the audio signal. Audio signal is associated with a small energy because its frequency is very low. Follow my point. So, what we do is we have this audio signal which is actually mixed or combined with the carrier signal having high frequency, so that the energy associated with the carrier signal is high. Carrier signal frequency audio signal frequency audio signal frequency carrier signal. So carrier signal is having high frequency, so that these signals are mixed together. So this process of mixing these two signals is usually called the modulation process. And what is then the modulation process then? Modulation is the process of changing the characteristic features of a carrier signal, changing the characteristic features of a carrier signal in accordance with the amplitude of the message signal. That is very important. I told you every message signal will be having low power because its frequency is low, because it is an audio signal. That is why we use, or it uses a carrier signal to carry it to send to a distant place. So modulation is the process of changing the characteristic of a carrier signal in accordance with the amplitude of the message signal. So the message signal will have the amplitude, isn't it? It will be initially it will be 0, then again it increases, going to maximum value, then comes to 0. So depending upon the variations of the amplitude of the message signal or baseband signal or modulating signal, the characteristic feature of the carrier signal is changed, or the amplitude of the carrier signal is varied. Follow my point. The amplitude of the carrier signal is varied. It means that when mixing the carrier signal with the message signal, we have got another signal, a combined mixture of these two signals with an amplitude, another amplitude. Okay, so it is the process of combining low frequency signal with very high frequency carrier wave. That is the process of modulation. So process of modulation is actually the process of changing the characteristic of a carrier signal in accordance with the amplitude of message signal. So we are actually changing the amplitude of the message or amplitude of the modulated signal, mixed signal in accordance with the message signal. Amplitude of the message signal. Amplitude of the message signal in the variation എങ്ങനെയാണോ ആ വേരിയേഷൻ അനുസരിച്ചിട്ട് മിക്സ് ചെയ്ത carrier wave amplitude മാറ്റുക. അഥവാ ഇത് രണ്ടും കൂടി മിക്സ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ഉണ്ടാവുന്ന സിഗ്നലിന്റെ ആംപ്ലിറ്റ്യൂഡിനെ മാറ്റിക്കൊണ്ടേയിരിക്കുക. അങ്ങനെ മാറ്റുന്ന പ്രോസസ്സാണ് ആംപ്ലിറ്റ്യൂഡ് മോഡുലേഷൻ. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ദ പ്രോസസ് ഓഫ് മോഡുലേഷൻ ഇൻ ആംപ്ലിറ്റ്യൂഡ് മോഡുലേഷൻ. In amplitude modulation, the message signal amplitude will be always varying, isn't it? So that variation of the amplitude of the message signal will make the changes in the carrier wave. That is the process of modulation. Or it is the process of changing the characteristic feature of the carrier signal in accordance with the amplitude of the message. Okay. The resultant signal out of modulation is usually called modulated signal. So once the signal is modulated, that is combined with these two, that is combined, the modulating signal is combined with the carrier signal, it becomes a modulated signal, another signal having different amplitude. Okay, so resultant signal is out of modulation, is called the modulated signal. Modulation is done at the transmitter end. That is also very important. Where this modulation is taking place? Modulation is taking place at the transmitter end, where we are actually speaking the audio signals or whatever it is. So modulation is usually the mixing of this audio signal with the carrier signal is taking place at the transmitter end, where this modulators will be modulating these signals together. Modulators means this mixing of these two signals, that is the modulating signal with the carrier signal, so that the amplitude of the carrier signal will be changed depending upon the changes occurring in the modulating signal or baseband signal. Okay. At the receiver end, what happens at the receiver end? And the signal is then transmitted through air. It is actually put into air. So what happens then? At the receiver end, the original message is then restored. How is it restored? It is restored by using a process what is called demodulation. So mixing of the information, mixing of the audio signals or low frequency signal with the carrier signal is called modulation, and this transmitted. At the receiving end, where the information what is sent from the sending end has to be recovered, that is to be restored, and that process is what's called the demodulation. Okay. Then what do we need for this modulation? I told you, in order to send a low frequency signal to a distant end, a low frequency signal will be always associated with a low energy level in it, so that it cannot travel a long distance. So it cannot travel a long distance means it will be fainted, or the strength of the signal will be getting reduced while it goes to certain distance. So the signal will be getting decayed, or it will be reduced. The signal strength will be getting reduced due to the noise level included and all those things. So what for we need the modulation? In order to send the information through a transmitter, what we need? We need a transmitter. Every transmitter will be having a transmitting device, what is called a transmitting antenna. We will come across this antenna later. Every transmitting device will be having a transmitting antenna. You might have seen the transmitting antenna of Kannur radio station. ഈ ഒരു പോസ്റ്റ് ഒരു മാസ്റ്റിന്റെ മുകളിൽ ഒരു കമ്പിയിലോട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ വെച്ചിട്ട് കാണാം സംഗതി. At the top of that one, there is a that is what's called the antenna. That structure is supported. That antenna is supported by that structure. ഒരു 10-40 മീറ്റർ ഉയരത്തിൽ വലിയൊരു പോസ്റ്റ് പോലെ ഇത് കാണാം radio station level. That is what's called the antenna. Okay. So every transmission station will be having a transmitting antenna, and receiving end will be having a receiving antenna too. Now radio receiver there is an antenna. പഴയ ഇതിലൊക്കെയാണ് നമുക്കറിയാം ഇങ്ങനെ ഉയർത്തി വെക്കാവുന്ന നീഡിൽ പോലെയുള്ള സാധനമുണ്ട്. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് ആന്റന. ചിലതിലാണെങ്കിൽ നമുക്കിങ്ങനെ ഒരു വയറിങ്ങനെ തൂക്കിയിട്ട് ചെമ്പ് കമ്പി തൂക്കിയിട്ട് can be acted as an antenna. Okay. So depending upon the transmitter, or whether it is transmitter or receiver, we need to have antenna. So in order to have the size of the antenna for transmitting certain signal, let us consider this example. If the frequency of the modulated signal f is 1 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz is well within the range of audible range, isn't it? What is audible range? That is 36 to 30 kilohertz on. So 1 kilohertz is actually well within the audio range. That's a very small signal having a low frequency range. So in order to set the signal, we need to have an antenna size of this much, 1 by 4 into V by F, V by F, or where lambda is equal to V by F, or 1 by 4th of lambda. So in order to satisfactorily transmit or efficiently transmit a signal through a transmitter, in order to satisfactorily or very efficiently transmit a signal from a transmitting antenna, the length of the antenna must be at least lambda by 4. There is a formula for that. That formula is lambda by 4. You need not derive all those things. You just understand. In order to send a signal very effectively and efficiently through an antenna, then the size of antenna must be always at least having a length which is equal to lambda by 4, where lambda is the wavelength, of the signal. And this lambda by 4, what is this lambda? Lambda is the wavelength of the signal, that is numerically equal to the wavelength of light divided by the frequency of the signal which is transmitting. What is wavelength of light? What is the velocity? Not wavelength, velocity of light. That is lambda is equal to velocity of light divided by the frequency. Wavelength lambda is the wavelength of the signal to be transmitted, and that is, of course, that is given by, numerically given by V by F, where what is V? V is the velocity of light. What is velocity of light? That is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meters per second, that we know. What is F? F is the frequency of the signal which is to be transmitted. So if you consider a 1 kilohertz case as the frequency, then the antenna size should be like this. That is 1 by 4 into 3 into 10 raised to 8 into 8 divided by 1 into 10 raised to 3. That is almost 75,000 meters or 75 kilometers. In order to send an audible signal of 1 kilohertz frequency as it is, 1 kilohertz മാത്രം തന്നെ അങ്ങോട്ട് അയക്കണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, അത് വേറൊരു കാരിയർ സിഗ്നൽ ഒന്നും ഉപയോഗിക്കാതെ 1 കിലോഹെർട്സിനെ നമുക്ക് ഇഫക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് ഒരു സ്ഥലത്തേക്ക് എത്തിക്കണം എന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, we need to have 75 an antenna with a length of 75 kilometers. അപ്പോൾ 75 കിലോമീറ്റർ നീളത്തിലുള്ള ആന്റിന ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ പറ്റും നമുക്ക്. It is practically not at all possible, never possible. നമുക്ക് 75 മീറ്ററിന്റെ ഒരു ആന്റിന വേണമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്ക് we can expect, or less than 100 meters is also practically possible. But above that range, of course, it is very difficult. So in that case, we can rely upon this broad techniques of modulation, because in the technique of modulation, what do we do? This 1 kilohertz is actually mixed with a high frequency carrier signal, say some 600 kilohertz carrier signal. So that will be mixed together, so that you can reduce the size of the antenna. If you mix these two signals and apply this equation, you will be getting some 60 to 70 meters. So that is a size which can be realized in practice. So if you modulate the signal with a carrier wave, then that actually ultimately gives us the size of antenna reduced. The size of antenna reduced. The same thing is very equally important for that antenna used in satellites or other devices. The same thing is used, same kind of theory is applicable, where the size of the antenna is an important problem or important consideration. It's not a problem as such because it is required, but these considerations to be made. So the size of the antenna must be well within the practically realizable size. So that is possible if you modulate the transmission, that modulating signal with a carrier signal. So modulating signal will be modulated, or that will be mixed with a carrier or combined with a carrier signal, so that it is transmitted as a modulated wave. Okay. Then what are the other importance of it? It reduces the size of antenna. Several stations transmit simultaneously. Several signals can be transmitted through same channel without any mixing. I told you one example here. And what are the other important aspects of modulation? So modulation makes us to use several stations transmit simultaneously, because different stations will have different transmitting frequencies. I told you Different stations will have different transmitting frequencies. For example, Alapi radio station has got a transmitting frequency of about more than 1 megahertz, I think. More than 1 megahertz. Kozhikode radio station is having 600, 680, 500 or 680 kilohertz, like that. So different stations, transmission station will be having different frequency of transmission. So different frequency of transmission means different stations can transmit information, and that can be received also by the same receiver radio equipment. Similarly, several signals can be transmitted through the same channel without any mixing. So when you are sending the information with the different frequencies, these frequencies cannot be mixed together. So that with the same channel, you can send different frequency information, so that this information can be extracted at the receiving end by suitable demodulators. That is possible. So this will not be mixed together. So that is another important thing. The same channel can be used. We can have the same channel to send the information from different sources. Okay. And what are the other needs for modulation? The modulation reduces the noise and interference. Modulation reduces the noise and interference. Okay. So it reduces the noise and interference. And it improves signal to noise ratio. It improves signal to noise ratio. SNR. Signal to noise ratio എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ സിഗ്നലിന്റെ സ്ട്രെങ്ത് എത്രയുണ്ടോ അത് അത്രമാത്രം നോയ്സ് ലെവൽ കടന്നുകൂടുന്നുണ്ടോ ആ റേഷ്യോ ആണ്. ആൻഡ് ഇറ്റ് ഇംപ്രൂവ്സ് SNR മീൻസ് the signal will be more and noise level will be less. Signal to noise ratio means S by R. Signal ratio, noise ratio, S by N, not S by R, S by N. Signal level is more means noise level is less means the ratio will be more. That is improved. So the noise level will be very much reduced, signal strength will be very much improved, and that will be transferred. That is possible with modulation. So modulation, in brief, we can say the modulation reduces the size of antenna. Modulation makes it possible to send several stations from information from several stations. Several stations can transmit information, and modulation helps us to send several signals which can be transmitted from different stations through the same channel without mixing. The same channel can be used for several signals to be transmitted, and modulation reduces the noise and interference because it's a high frequency signal, so which cannot be mixed with other signals. So it reduces the noise and interference, and which improves the signal to noise ratio. SNR ratio means signal to noise ratio, so that the signal level will be improved much. For efficient transmission and reception of radiation of signals, the transmitting and receiving antenna must have a length of at least 1/4 of the wavelength of the signal. ഇത് നിങ്ങൾ മനസ്സിലാക്കിയാൽ മാത്രം മതി. In order to send the information very efficiently and effectively from an antenna, the length of the antenna or size, usually size of the antenna, the length of antenna, radio station is the length of antenna. The length of antenna must be always less than lambda by 4, where lambda is the wavelength. Okay, the transmitting and receiving antenna must have a length of at least 1/4 of the wavelength of the signal. Signal lambda എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് അതിന്റെ wavelength ആണ്. And what is meant by lambda? Lambda is the ratio of velocity of light to the frequency of signal which is transmitting. That is the modulating signal. Okay, so this is an example I have given and quoted here. Now amplitude modulation. Amplitude modulation is the process of changing the amplitude of carrier signal in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the measured signal. Here, the phase and frequency of the modulated signal remains same because only the amplitude is changed. The frequency of the modulating signal is not changed; it is same. The frequency of the carrier signal is also not changed. That is same. Of course, modulating signal and carrier signal has got different frequencies. Carrier signal will be having a very high frequency. Modulating signal will be having very low frequency. But that frequency will not be changed. That will be always remain constant. But which is changing? That is the amplitude of the carrier signal. The amplitude of the carrier signal will be changed in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude. What is meant by instantaneous amplitude? Instantaneous amplitude means amplitude of the signal strength at each instant. If it is a sinusoidal wave, at each instant, of course, there will be amplitudes, isn't it? There is a peak amplitude when the signal is having a peak point. That is when theta is equal to pi by 2, isn't it? Like that. So here, with the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal, the amplitude of the carrier signal is varied. And this process of modulation is called, this process of mixing the modulating signal with the carrier signal is called the amplitude modulation. So amplitude modulation is the process of changing the amplitude of the carrier signal in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the message. So here you have to note down that the phase and frequency of the modulated signal and carrier signal remains same, only the amplitude changes. Carrier സിഗ്നലിന്റെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മോഡുലേറ്റിംഗ് സിഗ്നൽ അഥവാ മെസ്സേജ് സിഗ്നലിന്റെയും ഫ്രീക്വൻസി ഒരിക്കലും മാറുന്നില്ല. ദാറ്റ് ഇസ് അൺചേഞ്ച്. ഓൺലി ദ ആംപ്ലിറ്റ്യൂഡ് ഓഫ് ദി carrier signal is changed in accordance with the instantaneous amplitude of the message signal. At the positive peak of the modulating signal, the amplitude of the modulated waveform is maximum, that is Emax. I will show you all these things. Emax. At the negative peak of the modulating signal means message signal. At the negative peak of the modulating signal, the amplitude of the modulated wave is E minimum. So here, this is your carrier wave having very high frequency. So it is very നോക്കിയാൽ മതി. ഇതിങ്ങനെ വളരെ ഒരു ടൈം പീരീഡ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇത്തിരി എടുത്തിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. സോ ഇറ്റ്സ് ഹാവിംഗ് വെരി ലോ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി. ഹിയർ ദ ടൈം പീരീഡ് ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി ഹൈ ഫ്രീക്വൻസി. So these two signals are modulated. This is the message signal, that is the audio signal sometimes we get, and this is the carrier signal EC. Carrier signal has got a peak amplitude of EC. Message signal has got a peak amplitude of EM. When these two are modulated, we will have the modulated signal like this. So the modulated signal will be gradually varying like this and reaches maximum point here when the modulating signal reaches the maximum point here. Right? So here at each instant EC is added with EM sin omega mt or EM. EM is the instantaneous value of the message signal. So instantaneous value of message signal is added with this carrier signal, so that the modulated wave will have a maximum value that is equal to EC plus EM. Here it is like this. And let us consider this modulated signal to be EAM. So here the peak value at the positive side, positive maximum of the audio signal, that is message signal, will have the modulated wave have a maximum of EC plus EM. Similarly, when the message signal is taking a negative maximum value, it has got a negative value, then what happens here? This is the minimum value of the, that is modulated wave. This is the maximum peak value, this is the minimum peak value. So the envelope here is very similar to the modulating signal, that is message signal like this. Okay. So accordingly, with the variations of this message signal, this carrier signal is actually having the amplitude varied like this. That is why this is called amplitude modulation. But the phase is not varied, its angular displacement is not varied, its carrier frequency is not varied, the frequency is very same. See here, the same frequency is actually applied here, just like that only. Whenever this is mixed with this one, the frequency is not all changed. This actually as it is, having the same frequency with this, this will be mixing with this one. The frequency is not changed. Only the amplitude of the carrier signal is varied in accordance with the message signal. That is technical. That is why it is called amplitude modulation. I hope you understood this very clearly. This concept you should understand very clearly. Okay. So I think I have to take another 1 more hour, but here I think most of you will be having prayer and all those things. So I don't prolong this class now, because with this I conclude the sessions here, and next class we will be discussing about the amplitude modulation, these equations and all those things. What is the wave equation of amplitude modulation, and what is meant by modulation index, and what is the bandwidth of amplitude modulation. These are all very important, and this equation is quite simple. I will explain to you very clearly. Don't worry on that this one, but this equation you should by heart, by writing, because this is usually asked about the examination. Finally, after amplitude modulation, you will be getting an equation like this: EC sin omega c t plus MEC by 2 cos omega c minus omega m t minus MEC by 2 cos omega c plus omega m t. So here, this one cosine function and sine function you might have learned in your higher secondary classes. The same thing you have to apply here, and here there is a sinusoidal term, and this cosine terms are equivalent to sine terms only, but we can consider this to be omega c and omega m to be considered to be a carrier wave angular frequencies, that is omega c and amplitude EC, and upper side, then this particular frequency band omega c minus omega m and omega c plus omega m, and this is actually the frequency bandwidth or frequency bandwidth. Frequency bandwidth means omega c plus omega m is upper bandwidth, and omega c minus omega m. Omega means 2 pi f. Omega is actually really 2 pi f. Where 2 pi is a constant, then you can consider to be f c fm f c fm here. So fc minus fm, fc plus fm. So the bandwidth, that is what is called the bandwidth between these lower frequency range and upper frequency range. That is the bandwidth of the communication possible with that particular frequency range of the modulating signal. So that is why it is called bandwidth. So that bandwidth is actually omega c minus omega c plus omega m minus omega c plus omega m, or 2 omega m. That is the bandwidth, and that we will discuss in the next class. Okay. So we will discuss about this equations and all this. And before that, when you look into this particular things, just refer to your mathematics classes, cosine a plus b, sine a plus b, like that. Okay, sine a minus b, cosine a minus b. Then it will be very easy to understand all these things very well. Okay. And do you have? Did you take the AC fundamentals in your electrical engineering classes, students? Prabhamis has taken this AC fundamentals. Sine E is equal to Em sin omega t, like that. The instantaneous value of induced EMF, or instantaneous value of the EMF E is equal to, in any sinusoidal waveform, the instantaneous value of the EMF E, small e, is equal to Em sin omega t, where Em is the maximum value of the EMF, sinusoidal EMF. That is more of representation of the sinusoidal waveform. Did she take? Prabhamis? എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞു? Anybody? AC fundamentals എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞു ടീച്ചർ? ഹലോ, പ്രഭാമിസ് എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാ? AC fundamentals എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞു? Nobody is here. I think all are sleeping or they have left. Hello. Okay, we will discuss this in the next class. Okay. Now I will take the attendance. For that, I will just see.